trying to fit the statue back into the quarry. There is pain in this process. Smallest of signals throw us forward in our seats. Was it low tide that revealed the malice in your heart? A poet's main occult tool is the body. Some reach for the Elysium. I'm at home in the alluvium. After all, dearest, to beasts is to belong. Holding tight as the extinct frog returns on a postcard.
The poetic strand at Fruitmarket is an occasional flowering of research that I'm doing as a curator into how poetics finds space in galleries. It's poetry at the edges of poetry where it starts to bleed into other disciplines, and I'm interested in the way that poets can respond if they're given a space to take over. Anna Mendelssohn has iconic status in experimental poetics, especially in Britain. She was an activist in the Angry Brigade when she came out of university, and she was sentenced to 7 years in prison. She was able to come out after a few years, but she was under surveillance, and her writing in some ways was always responding to that tension. And the poetry, in some sense, asks a question of how to live after that sort of scrutiny. A couple of years ago, I was fortunate enough to be invited by Sarah Crangle, who's a fine poet and also works at the University of Sussex, to come and look at the Anna Mendelssohn archive. And I found I was having this very strange sensation when I was reading Anna's work. I kept hearing CAConrad's voice, and they have an extraordinary reading voice, which is not something that I would ever think of associating with someone else, but there was something about the directness, the unflinching tackling of really dark human behaviours head on that just kept bringing them into my head. I was really keen to let her be in conversation with another poet who could hold that conversation, and it was obvious to me that that was going to be CAConrad. So her poems have been expanded in size in the same way that CA takes their poems off the page, and we've worked with the same mediums. We've worked with georgette, a kind of chiffon fabric, also standing card sculptures that let us actually think about how these two poets can be in conversation across a distance of time.
We had a great time choosing Anna Mendelssohn's poems in the archive, and we really had the best experience looking at not just her poems, but her visual work, and notebook after notebook. And it's just amazing the amount of work that she did in her lifetime. And it was an honor to be able to do this. And the things we saw were so magical. Anna Mendelssohn is a dream.
We find my solitary condition surrounded by rivers and valleys, where platforms are reported and not by press reporters. The woodcutter's wishes locked in industrial programs, Bayon's checked children's dresses, northeast posse croissant.
We wanted 9 of her poems and 9 of mine. 9 is designed for the energy going up the stem. It's the spinal cord going up to the skull. That's what 9 is. It's the epiphany. And it can't be destroyed. Like anything you multiply, it comes heals. Like 2 times 9 is 18. There are 18 of these here. But 1 plus 8 is 9. Mathematicians have never been able to. It's really an extraordinary number to work with. Completion.
Anna Mendelssohn's archive contains what you would call visual art and writing, often in the same pieces of paper. She considered herself to be an artist as well as a poet. So we have examples here in this show where you can see lines that move between the text and drawings. Sometimes you don't know what the status of a mark is. And I think there's something unique to the way that she works with it. She talks in one of her letters about she doesn't blend or fuse the drawings and the writing, but they do sit in a very particular tension.
Both of our poems are sometimes political, sometimes talking about our bodies, sometimes talking about money, sometimes talking about war. And I mean, the beginning of this exhibition, there are 2 pieces by Anna Mendelssohn on chiffon. One is called The Casual Bullet. This bullet just flying toward this head, the casual bullet. And then the other one is Not Another War. They're sort of the greeters of this exhibit, and you have to walk through them. That's the threshold. And they're just extraordinary. I remember when we found these in the archive, and they looked like they belonged together, and they are now. When people are reading my poems, I have nothing to do with how they read them or what they get. My goal is to abandon them, because the thing is, you could never, these poems would never finish. You know what I mean? The thing, I could keep rewriting and writing them. You have to abandon them and move on. Once I abandon them and they're out in the world, it's none of my business what people see in them. I'm not interested in it. That's the creativity of the reader. It's the same about this exhibit. I feel the same way about this exhibit. Yes, it's arranged in a particular way that we want it, but it doesn't mean that the audience is going to experience it that way. I'm giving you a poem so that you can read and be creative with me. Because the thing about poetry is it's not a novel. Novels are stitched together. Nothing against novels for all of you novelists hearing this, because novelists get really mad at me when I talk about this. But the fact of the matter is that's what they do, but we don't do that. We're giving these corresponding ideas that you put together. You are required to be creative when you read poetry, and that's what I want. Poetry is where you get the true avant-garde, where there's space for everybody. That's what it really originally meant. So this idea of we're together in this is what I'm interested in.